like if I had to characterize what is the sound of the Understory, it is the wet and juicy patch in Omnisphere and pitch down ukuleles. And so like together that sounds like, which is just, it's like this warm little hug thing. Outside of that, it was just kind of like, some brushes and some basic, like, I think I used like a Rhythm King, that drum machine, kick drum, and then, yeah.
Hey guys, it's Bad Snacks and welcome to The Sauce Factory. It's where we're talking about music production, music tech, lifestyle from working musicians. We have producers, engineers, artists coming in from all over Los Angeles. Today we have a super fun guest, and it's somebody that you may recognize from the Grammy-nominated neo-soul trio Moonchild. You may recognize him from his beat tape moniker Wildflower.
Deep cut.
But I feel like most of you will recognize him from his cameo on Glee.
What?
Playing accordion.
Investigative reporter over here.
I know, because I never forgot.
Oh my God.
I thought that was such a fun fact. Do you know what episode that was?
I don't remember the episode, but it was the song Constant Craving with, oh God, I don't remember her name, but it's the one who died in the boat thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was her song. And I'm there in like the background playing accordion.
Whoa. Wow.
With, yeah.
That is like
trip.
some really crazy LA lore in like one little bite right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The thing they don't tell, a lot of Glee musicians are actually USC jazz musicians who just got roped into this like sidelining thing, you know?
Wow.
But yeah,
that's
crazy
crazy.
gig.
Yeah. Wow. So anyway, first of all, congratulations on the record, the Understory. We're going to be talking about that a lot today because it's so gorgeous, so beautiful. You did such a great job with it. You know, just watching your journey for so many years, which by the way, can I throw out a fun fact that's crazy? You and I have been friends for almost 10 years.
Have we hit the 10-year mark?
We've
hell
been
yeah.
friends for almost 10 years. But I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Wow. It is cool though. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, we've both seen like 5 different versions of each other.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, I mean, when I met you, we were both working at the elementary school.
Yeah.
I mean, you were just kind of, I don't want to say just beginning your journey with Moonchild, but you guys were kind of still like very much. You were coming up.
I just graduated from USC and it was like the band was not a self-sustaining thing at all.
Right.
And so we just like I was teaching elementary school kids how to make fart sounds on trumpet.
Yeah.
Basically.
So speaking of prodigious young trumpet players, in terms of your background, for those of you who like aren't super familiar with you and your trajectory, like where did you start musically?
Beginning stages of music were in the house. Both my parents are musicians. Mom's like a film composer, dad, producer, engineer. And so it was always around in the house. I started probably, I don't know, age 6 or something playing piano, but it was like, classical, like Go Tell Aunt Rhody kind of really basic stuff. And then hit middle school and I was like, I really want to play trumpet because it's like, that's the age where you really want to be like your dad. My dad played trumpet. Anyways, I was really adamant about playing trumpet. And so that started that career. And then fast forward to high school, did the jazz band thing, and then went to USC where I eventually met the other peeps in Moonchild and formed that thing.
Yeah. And where in that trajectory did you actually start learning how to produce?
It was at USC.
Wow,
So it was like the first record we ever did as a band. That were like my first months of producing,
Yeah. And I guess I've always been curious of like, were you listening to a lot of neo soul before college? Like, how did you get into that?
Like literally zero.
Wow.
I think, my life just became a completely different shade of colors when I hit college because it was just, I feel like I'm old enough now to appreciate my tastes in high school. It was like very high school jazz band type of music tastes, like I don't know if your like listeners know, like Gordon Goodwin's Big Fat Band, like things like that where it was like really jazz band heavy. And then college hit and it was a product of you want to get along with the other students. And the currency at USC was not like jazz per se. It was like, oh, check out this Erykah Badu record, check out this D'Angelo record.
Yeah.
And that was like the cool shit that people were listening to outside of the classroom.
Wow.
And so that was like my first exposure to all that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying that when you were in high school that most of your influences were like straight ahead.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like jazz, really not much like pop or
really
stuff outside of that genre.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'm kind of just surprised that you didn't have like an indie phase.
Yeah.
Like an indie rock phase.
I guess I'm surprised too. I mean, maybe somewhere like below the surface there was that stuff happening. You know, I grew up in a household where we were singing a lot of Latvian choral music or like, you know, James Taylor and stuff like that was like in and around the household, but it wasn't like on my iPod in high school.
You actually just mentioned something that ties in really nicely to my next question.
Fantastic.
Which starts with the fact that you are actually the only person that I know of Latvian descent.
Yes.
You already kind of touched on it, but like, how has that influenced you musically?
Huge. Yeah. I mean, I feel like now I'm really just like putting the pieces together of how all of that shaped who I am, from like my taste in melody and all that stuff. And yeah, growing up, it was like I spent my Sundays at Latvian Sunday school, and you know, we started every day singing like 3 Latvian songs basically, and there would be these song and dance festivals growing up where they would last like 4 days, and you know, you learn all this Latvian choral repertoire. And Latvia as a country, it's probably like its biggest pride point is singing, you know. Like it's a nation that sings. Before it gained its independence in 91, there was this huge, like they call it the singing revolution, where they were just, you know, putting on these huge choral concerts of mass, you know, like we're talking like 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 people all singing, you know, 4-part harmony. Still to this day, they're doing that every summer. I actually, like last summer, got to sing in one of those choirs for the first time, which was like a total trip, just, you know, because you're in a sea of people and I'm surrounded by like maybe 500 baritones. So I can't hear the sopranos, but then if you're like out in the crowd, it all sounds like this beautiful, massive choral thing. But yeah, so it is funny that as the musician in the baritone section, it's like everyone has their own definition of what is A or B natural, or, you know, but somehow like, you know, 500 voices singing that into the crowd, it sounds like it's in tune. But
that's amazing. I can't even imagine what that like reverberation feels like.
It's a total reverberation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
That's crazy. What's one thing that you wish more people knew about Latvia?
I mean, you know, its existence is probably the first order of business, you know?
Yeah.
But if I ever do get to talk about Latvia, I always do bring up this fact that in Latvia, they'll have these song and dance festivals that happen every 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
The spectacle of seeing these massive choirs and also these huge dance performances. And I think there's just something really cool about seeing a small country like put something like that together.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be able to like dip into this small pond and like see, you know, small group but like mighty group of people who like are just so passionate about everything to do with Latvia. I mean, yeah, it's just we're constantly looking to just highlight the talents coming out of the country, and we're just all very like supportive of each other.
You've had so many different side projects just in the time that I've known you. You have your Latvian ambient piano works. You have your Wildflower beat tape, which by the way is like still one of my favorite beat tapes. I love that so much. And obviously Moonchild, which has been a pretty large chapter of your life.
Huge. Yeah.
Into this. And from those various projects of your life, like what are the things that you're taking with you into a solo project, and like what are the things that you're leaving behind?
Whoa. Yeah. That's a beautiful question. You know, each project, it's made because that's just kind of what I'm feeling like making in that moment. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, if I'm thinking back to like when I was making that Wildflower beat tape, it was heavily into like these nature beat type things. And so it was the product of that. You know, with this latest solo record stuff, I feel like the biggest thing I'm leaving behind, I feel like in the past I was just very much defining myself as like, I'm a producer, instrumentalist, not a front person. I think even just if I'm thinking about like previous early life experiences, like I did a few of these like Latvian musical things, and I would often get cast in these roles, and I felt really like, I don't know, uncomfortable being like the lead in something. And so for years I just kind of shied away from putting anything with my voice on it. And I think I just, you know, you just sometimes you hit these life moments where it's like you don't care about those labels anymore,
right?
That you, or self-imposed restrictions.
Right.
And I kept telling myself, oh, it's, you know, because I'm not meant to be this or that. But then I just thought about like, what do I love doing just on my own when there's nothing at stake, and it, you know, I really do enjoy singing. And so it was just kind of like, I feel like it's worth pursuing this. And, you know, if down the line I'm just like, oh, I'm not really like a performer, then it is what it is. But for me, this record for sure has been a process of just like letting go of all the labels of what Andris Mattson is, you know?
And it's also so interesting to hear you say that, because I distinctly remember when you got into the mindset of, I am going to learn how to sing, and I'm going to learn how to sing good. You know, like you took it so seriously, because I think if I'm remembering correctly, you were kind of saying that you were witnessing Amber and how she treats her voice and how she, you know, does her warm-ups and has to maintain her voice for tour and has to do all this stuff. And I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, that was like really influential, but also like intimidating in a way.
Yeah, I don't know if it was intimidating. I feel like if anything, it was inspiring, you know, just to have a front row seat to someone who, you know, like most people don't know, Amber didn't sing at all until college. And so like, you know, her instrument, her voice, it's continued to evolve, but you know, she is like, in my mind, like sort of on the Mount Rushmore of people who like found their gift later in life, but then chose to like really pursue it, you know. And it, you know, whether or not she chose it or the gift chose her, you know, could be discussed. But at least for me, it was mega inspiring when it came time to like sit down and record my vocals. I was just like, there's so many of those artists, right, who are just, they're instrumentalists first and then they came to singing later.
Right.
And it's just, it helps to have seen someone else walk that path and seen success with it, you know. And voice is one of those instruments where it's like, it is uniquely yours from the get-go. And so there's not much to lose in recording stuff with your voice on it.
Yeah.
It just kind of requires you to let go of that inner bullshit that is preventing you from jumping in, you know?
That's so crazy. I never knew that, you know, that you guys were late bloomers in that way.
100%. What I was saying earlier too about like just the culture at USC.
Yeah.
People would knock on your practice room and they wouldn't ask you like, what tunes are you shedding? They're like, what songs are you writing?
Wow.
And so that was just the songwriting culture thing. And so for her, she was like, oh, I guess I should be writing songs. I mean, this is the currency at the University of Southern California Jazz Studies program. But basically she had a solo project before Moonchild, and then, you know, it led to Moonchild. And
that's crazy.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's also so commendable too. And I think in a way, maybe it speaks to your background, both yours and Amber's, of like being instrumentalists, approaching vocals really as an instrumental practice. And it is inspiring, because I feel like I've literally heard your progress over the years, and then to hear it in this album format, I'm listening to some of these riffs and also some of the ranges, and I'm just like, this is crazy. It's so strong.
That's sweet. Yeah, I guess, yeah. It's just a product of singing a bunch, and frankly also just like it was more mental than anything else.
Right.
Like feeling free to sing in like a heavy chest voice thing.
Yeah.
And going for it just because it was like I was feeling it. I was going through some shit, and I was like, I don't care anymore about how this sounds at all. And yeah, it led to some honest shit. Don't have to change a thing. Oh.
All right. Just a couple of questions before we talk about the Understory.
Sure.
First of all, what is the secret to the perfect loaf of sourdough bread?
Oh, yes, my true love, sourdough baking. Music is the breadwinner, but the bread baking is the real
Right.
passion.
Right.
I think the secret to good sourdough breaking is just baking a shit ton of loaves. And I think because I had this 50-pound on ramp to
Yeah.
get good at baking,
Yeah.
like most people, they bought that small bag, Arthur Miller or whatever flour, and they made 2 loaves and they were like, oh, that was fine. And they moved on. But, you know, just like anything else, music, you know, the more you make, it's a quantity game. And I didn't make a good sourdough loaf until probably loaf 20, you know?
Wow.
No different than music or any other profession.
I was about to say that was actually a beautiful analogy. Next really important question, order of business actually, is when is the next VSN gonna be?
The VSN nights, yes. Oh, we're getting into this lore. I love it.
Yeah, a little bit. Do you care to tell a little bit of the
sure.
lore?
I mean, I guess, yeah. What was it? It was
vegan
synth night.
Yeah.
Which at the time, I believe, were you vegan then?
No.
You were not.
I was never actually vegan.
Yeah, okay. I was vegan at that point in my life. But it was like, it was just sort of a good, like, food with good music.
Right.
Or like synthy, bloopy kind of stuff.
Loopy stuff. Yeah, kind of like the it's always like modular on the spot inspired a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way that I remember that was that I had just gotten into electronic music. Because I guess in some ways I also identify with the late bloomer thing.
Oh my God. I feel like I need to interview you about your journey. Because, it's true. Yeah. When I met you, you were a violin instructor.
I know. Just
prodigy, whatever. But just like,
when I met you, you were a child prodigy.
Yeah. But just like, that was who Jesse was in my mind.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah. And, you saw the very beginning of that journey. And part of that journey, which I think I've expressed to you before, but maybe not so clearly, is that with the vegan synth night thing, I was like, I don't know how to produce. I want to learn how to produce. I can't believe that my coworker is you. I didn't know anything about synthesis at the time. And we had kind of made a deal that, because I was kind of mostly cooking vegetarian and you had just started your veganism journey. And I was like, I'll teach you recipes if you teach me how to produce and how to make this synth work.
Wait, I think I remember this deal now.
Yeah. And then I ended up buying your profit off of you. I should have brought that today instead of the note. That would have been so funny.
A little reunion.
But yeah, that was like the beginning for me. That's in crazy. Terms of like sound design stuff. So, thanks, Andris.
My God. It's truly my pleasure. When I sold that profit to you too, I was like, this is going to get used so much more in your house.
It has been used a lot and well loved.
Yeah.
Get out.
I'm so excited to talk to you about your record, The Understory, because it's gorgeous. How long did it take to make this? How long has this been cooking?
Oh gosh. It was probably a year. It was at a point in my life where I had a bunch of free time and I needed to eat up that free time with something. And so, the majority of the tracks and songs were actually written in like 3 months. And then, just sort of the last 5% / mixing part took the remaining time. But yeah, it was the quickest record I've ever made. It just seemed to like flow out of me in a way that hadn't in records past, possibly just because of the emotion behind the music, but also just where I was at in my life.
And you're no stranger to putting out records. You've gone through that process many times, just not necessarily as a solo artist in this form.
Yeah, right. It is a different thing, like first experience putting out album was with a band. And so that was the experience I was coming from. And we could talk about the pluses the pros and cons of being in a band and putting out solo music. Both are kind of necessary to like a healthy internal ecosystem of creativity. But it is a totally different thing. Like I remember I had an EP before the Understory called North, and that was sort of like the first singer-songwriter little release. And I remember the day of the release feeling so like alone, just because it was like, oh, I'm used to like celebrating this thing with my bandmates, or so that was like a learning journey with that too.
Totally. It's just a different process because the process of making it and then also kind of deciding when it's finished.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh my God, that is tough one when you're by yourself.
Yeah, you're the only one making those decisions.
Yeah, it can get really like Donald Fagan-y really quick. Just like multiple iterations of the final mix.
Absolutely.
V1, V2, V12.
Yeah,
just like yeah.
I'm sure a few people can relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a therapist look at it, it's just fully like unwillingness to let go of control, right?
Completely.
It's a fear of just saying that this is done.
Completely.
Like, is that really going to make a difference? That last EQ tweak, probably not, but it just settles some kind of thing inside you.
Totally. So when writing this, and you've been kind of touching on this, like what were the themes that you were really exploring with this?
Lyrically, it was like, I don't know if you heard of this book, The Overstory. Essentially, these are botanical terms that talk about the understory is the forest floor. I had, essentially was going through like a life shift, a breakup, and the sort of analogy that I kind of latched onto in the beginning that seemed to help me a lot. In order for a forest to be healthy, these huge towering sequoia trees have to fall at some point, and it's like this big tragic kind of moment, but at the same time, that sequoia tree falling kind of gives this little ray of light to the understory and leads to like this period of massive growth and exposing things that were previously in the shade, and so it was like that concept that I kind of latched onto. And so, exploring all those kind of messed up thoughts that were just, hiding in the background, or things that just I was not addressing in my life that I kind of needed to,
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I also feel like that's so well represented in the album artwork too. Yeah. Who were you kind of influenced by? Like, what were you listening to?
Yeah. I mean, look, I got to talk about my number one, Justin Vernon, obviously. Bon Iver is his whole catalog flows within me constantly. Day and night, he's my number one as far as like, yeah, just someone who got me singing too. I feel like I just have many memories of car rides of just putting on For Emma Forever Ago and singing along to all that music. Yeah, Bon Iver was really into the Dijon record at that time. So a lot of just the sounds and emotions that he captures on that record. I feel like those two in my brain were people that just I drew from inspiration wise.
It also sounds, there are still parts of the record that still have that pocket though, neo soul inspired pocket.
Yeah. It does slip out.
It does. I mean, that's like also something about you that like bewilders me in a way. I don't know if maybe that's not the right word, but I guess, but it does because it's like the depths of your pocket knows no bounds. You can fit so much in there.
I do obviously it's at the end of the day you want the song to feel good, and so oftentimes it is just a good pocket,
No, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And then in terms of the songwriting, coming from an instrumental background, have you ever struggled with lyricism?
Oh, fully. Yeah.
Okay.
So many like imposter syndrome moments. Yeah. Also, it's just like stepping into that role. I mean, when I'm listening to records, the first 10 listens of a song, I'm listening to the production. I'm listening to the chords. It's been a full 180 shift to try and like actually listen to the lyrics. I mean, famously, it's like I've been on Moonchild tours where, I'll actually hear the lyrics for the first time to a song we've been playing for like 30 shows.
That's so real.
And Amber laughs, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, even when I'm making the fucking record, I'm not listening to the lyrics. So when it came time to like sit down and write words, yeah, I didn't know where to begin. And I was approaching it kind of like a student, just thinking about songs that I like and the lyrics, what are the lyrics doing in there? And also just, I remember like on my first little EP, I took like so much inspiration from Justin Vernon's lyrics because he writes in this like very cryptic thing where you have no idea what the hell he's talking about. And I think that sort of concept gave me the freedom to actually start writing lyrics because, I don't think I could have written the lyrics in this record, which are, definitely a lot more vulnerable, had I not done this like soiree into like very cryptic song lyric writing, because it feels like a little safer. You're not like bearing your soul for the crowd to see.
Totally.
And so yeah, it's still a journey though. I'm always trying to improve the craft and listen to the masters, you know?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's one of these things where as a listener, I find it super impressive that you haven't always been a songwriter, because also just like the phrasing of it is gorgeous, and it feels so intimate, and I mean, vulnerable is the word, because it's like that's the theme here.
Sure.
And it kind of sounds to me like you were, you know, with the phase of life that you were going through, that it's not like the songs wrote themselves, but you had probably a lot more juice.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of, I mean, yeah, it's like, I wish it wasn't true that like, you know, bad times or like going through shit like really is perfect lemon to squeeze that juice out of. But it is true. It just feels like those songs do write themselves.
Tilted at 23 and a half.
For those who don't know, what does 23.5 mean?
Yeah. So it refers to the the axial, it's going to get so nerdy right now. The axial tilt of the Earth is 23.5 degrees, and it is the reason we have seasons. So, you know, what was that like asteroid that hit Earth a long time ago that gave us the moon and tilted the Earth? Like, that is the reason we have life on Earth, you know, because we have the seasons, because we have winter, we're able to have summer. And so, you know, it just, for me, it was like this kind of multi-layered thing that incorporated like previous songs I've written, and yeah, just that concept. It was actually the original album title before I changed it to Understory.
Wow.
But yeah,
Just layers of meaning.
layers. Yeah.
Who's Gerald?
Who is Gerald?
Who is Gerald?
Oh my gosh, I spilled the tea. If I could like dissect my brain right now, Gerald lives inside of me. It is it's one of those, like, the therapist gives you the exercise of like, you're going to personify the inner voice, the inner demon inside you that's telling you all these mean things. And he was like, you have to give him a name. And so I think I was in like some thrift store, and I saw this like goofy looking rainbow hat that said Gerald on it. And I was like, Gerald is the perfect name for, you know, because you want it to be like,
Yeah.
it diffuses the situation. So if I'm just like feeling down or whatever, I'll just be like, oh, Gerald, at it again.
That's amazing.
But yeah.
Somebody once suggested to me that my inner critic should be Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is the devil on my shoulder, helping me get through this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to sell you creatine pills or whatever.
Oh
He's
my gosh.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Use code BADSNACKS for 15%
God.
off.
This episode is not sponsored
by
by
creatine.
creatine.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
It
yet.
isn't. Oh my gosh. So you're one of these rare examples in the music industry of people who have like really seen classic milestones of success. And you've toured the world, you've been Grammy nominated, you've seen so much in your career that a lot of people never get to, which is amazing and so well deserved. You've seen the music industry and how much it changes, and
100%.
to start a solo project kind of in this way, I'm curious, how has your definition of success changed?
Whoa. Damn, you're coming with the great questions here. Yeah, gosh. I feel like my definition of success has always more or less been just this classic, you know, if I'm able to like make the music that feels true to me, and I'm able to pay my rent and create the life that I want to, like financially, I am successful. You know, it is, you know, very cliche to say, but yeah, it's like the Grammy nom stuff is like nice, and obviously touring the world has been a huge blessing. But yeah, the success comes from that feeling of, cool, I am successful at doing the thing that I'm passionate about, you know, while at the same time holding space for like, yeah, there's so many, you know, I think the disease I have is like, I get stressed out at the fact that I'm not going to be able to do everything I want to do in this life. You know, there's a limit to how much you can accomplish and try out.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for me also, success kind of looks like just managing that feeling and trying to, you know, continue making art that feels good to me without feeling like I need to be reaching this milestone or reaching that stage or that playlist or whatever, and just keeping it very intimate and just within my space. I recognize fully like the privilege too of like I'm putting out this record, but like I still have this very like successful snowball of a project called Moonchild that is paying for my bills, and so that allows me to say this next thought, which is just like I have no attachment to this record like performing in some huge way that I become some kind of thing overnight or whatever. It's I've gotten everything I need to out of the album already, and putting it online is just the last step of something that I've already gone through that emotion and that feeling, and if anything, I think I'm just excited to get on to the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, it must be also just an incredible outlet to be able to have this project and say, I can do whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't actually have to give me anything in return.
Yeah, 100%. That is success, And it's honestly too why it's like I have much respect, and also like I never shame people who like they take like the 9-to-5 jobs, because it is a huge burden, right? To like have your passion be the source of your financial well-being, and we could all talk about our experiences with that, but it's just like I never fault the person who like says like, okay, you know what, I need to take that coding boot camp so I can get a job that pays for the life that I want, because sometimes it is stressful to have the two intertwined, and I've definitely been through periods in my musical career where it's like I lose the love for it a little bit just because it is
naturally
connected to the financial thing.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. Because I think on a couple levels of like, you can't fault people for A, needing to survive, and then B, you can't fault people for wanting to take that pressure off of their art.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the art just gets so much better too when you disconnect the two, And I've certainly had fantasies at times of like, oh yeah, what would it look like? Because sometimes the touring life can be extremely grueling. I'm like, all right, this is the career I'm in now, but like, what would it look like to pivot to something where it's like I'm in town more often and I can have this local thing and just make art, while
make art and make bread.
Make bread, exactly. Starting my bakery, which I've vowed to never do, because I think as soon as I get paid to bake bread, it'll make me hate it.
Don't open that bakery, Andris.
Don't open that bakery.
What do you think is like the biggest lesson that you've learned with Moonchild moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I would sum it up as like, there's like the practical lesson of like, I think, how do you create a long sustaining career, which is, I think, the thing that has worked most for us has just been to constantly put out music,
Yeah.
We've had some very lucky breaks, and luck is a huge component of any person's success. And I don't think anyone who doesn't admit that is lying, but I think the way to like, if we're using the casino analogy, to have more opportunities at a lucky break, you got to play more hands. And, every time we put out an album, it felt like the circle of fans grew, and, opportunities grew as well. And so, going forward, it's just, I feel like that is the blueprint, make art at a sustainable pace, but keep making it, it is a journey, and, there's no overnight success. We've been a band 12, 13 years. And I remember very vividly, like that first half, was not, making money,
It's a grind.
It is a grind. And then, from an interpersonal level, it's like just trying to, let the ego at the door and like try everyone's idea and be gracious and how you listen to other people's ideas. I've had many missteps, in the album process, because I'm very type A, and I love to control the process. And I've just learned progressively with each album too, because also like our skills have grown as a band too. Like everyone plays different instruments, and we're all like producing and growing in what tastes we have, and just really being able to, sit with a track that like maybe the first 10 listens, I'm like, I don't know if I vibe with this. But then maybe, you put the record out and you're like, oh, well, actually now I like fully get this. And there's a leap of faith element to that as well. And I kind of like take that now into every collaborative space.
For this next segment, this is a game that I like to play, which is a rapid fire would you rather.
Oh my God.
Which, by the way, last time you submitted a couple for the last episode.
I sure did.
Yeah, I've been sourcing these from Instagram. It's been really fun.
That is my favorite tour game, so I'm so ready.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Seasoned. Here we go. Would you rather only compose but never perform, or only perform but never compose?
Only compose, never perform.
All right. Would you rather audiences only clap on 1 and 3 forever, or audiences clap on the 2 and the 4, but they drag and rush in perpetuity?
Oh. And it's okay. Yeah. Rapid fire. I'm gonna go. Ooh. I'm gonna go 1 and 3.
All right.
Looking forward. Yeah. That's the Latvian vibe.
Yeah,
1 and 3.
Is the stomp clap.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather have the ability to fly but pee uncontrollably, or be invisible but constantly farting while invisible?
And people are smelling my farts? Oh, definitely that one. I could wreak so much havoc. And then you're blaming it on your friend who's in the room.
You want that.
Yeah.
You actually want that.
I have atomic farts. You ask anyone in Moonchild.
That's
it was
amazing.
bad.
That's amazing. Okay, would you rather secretly date Elon Musk or openly drive a Cybertruck as your primary car?
Oh, that is bad. Oh my God, I hate those Cybertrucks. I might have to go with that though. I might have to go with the Cybertruck and just get like a massive bumper sticker that just says,
"Sorry,
I hate this too."
Yeah, right. Noah came up with that one.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Would you rather have Kanye give you a history lesson or have Beyonce as an enemy?
Whoa. Oh my God. Okay, and if she's my enemy, she's gonna be like publicly.
She is slandering you.
Oh my God. Just off that, I'm gonna have to go with the Kanye thing, even though I know that his version of history is completely fucked. But, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that.
That's super valid.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. Would you rather fight Mike Tyson or Mike Tyson?
Oh my Lord. End up in the hospital or
end up in the
hospital. Oh my God. Am I the one taking it? That is my follow-up.
I think it's however you envision it.
Yeah, am I taking a punch or am I taking a...
Taking a punch.
It's how do I move forward, right? I think I can move forward if I get beat up by Mike Tyson, but I don't know how I move forward in my romantic life if I get by him. So
valid.
I'm going to go with that.
Real. That's real. All right. Good job.
Wow. Those were incredible. Instagram community coming through.
So this is the secret sauce portion of the show where our guest is going to share some of their secret sauce with us on how they make magic happen, how they make dreams come true.
That's right. I'm going to go with Car Alarm. This is like the first song I wrote on the Understory. And something I'm really obsessed with is just stacking, like doubles, triples, quadruples, galore. And so I figured, I'd show you guys just how this track got built. The other thing that you'll learn quickly is that I really like ukulele. And so this song actually started with like this very basic ukulele pattern that I recorded a bunch of times. And I'll just play that real quick so you can hear it. Yeah. It's kind of acts as like this pedal point thing. And so I had this basic ukulele vibe going. And when I added the chords, everything else kind of started to come together. On this record in particular, though, I really loved pitching down ukuleles. And that I wasn't using anything like any kind of plugin. It was just the Logic transpose button. Mm-hmm. And so on this track, after the intro going into the verse, I just take that same ukulele thing and just had it pitched down an octave.
Oh.
there's an intimacy to it and like a messed up lo-fi-ness that I really gravitated towards.
Totally.
And so the pitch down ukulele coupled with this Omnisphere patch called Wet and Juicy.
Actually?
It's actually called Wet and Juicy.
That's amazing.
Like if I had to characterize what is the sound of the Understory, it is the Wet and Juicy patch in Omnisphere and pitch down ukuleles. And so like together that sounds like which is just, it's like this warm little hug thing.
Yeah. Does Wet and Juicy, does it come with that saturation or did you add that?
I mean, I'm a preset guy through and through, so I'm sure whatever you're hearing right now was like how it sounds in Omnisphere. If anything, I love to like dial down the velocity on it because then it just kind of feels a little more warm.
Totally, which I also feel like is a very signature sound of yours.
Yeah.
I remember that from even back in the day when you were showing me how the Prophet worked and you were like, this Velocinet, I forget what it's called.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and you played it so softly and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually so different.
Totally. Yeah. I'm a big, I rarely will use like really aggressive synth sounds. I'm much more partial to like this. If a flugelhorn was a synth, that would be my ideal synth sound. But so essentially, like with all those pieces, it just it started taking shape, and became the backbone to the track. Outside of that, it was just kind of like some brushes and some basic like. I think I used like a Rhythm King, that drum machine, kick drum, and then. Yeah, that was
so crispy.
Musically, that was where I started, and then, like if I'm thinking about other like secret sauce or sounds of like the Understory, it was how I recorded vocals. I think if I'm looking here, like the car alarm verse vocal, there's like at times like 14 vocals happening at once.
Whoa!
And they're all like at various different levels and panned at various different things, but it just like created this stereo image that, at least to me, it felt like kind of the sound I was hearing in my head. I'll just play a little bit so you can hear it. But
looked up, I saw you there, parting of the sea. You were staring back at me.
And so yeah, each vocal take too, like I was messing around with different like breathiness or whatever, and I think even in the chorus too, I was like experimenting with like Very Speed and Altar Boy stuff, which I just, I've watched enough of those like production breakdown videos of like some of my favorites to just kind of understand the power of that kind of tool, recording your vocals sped up and then slowing them down again. So it sounds like, it's not just me singing in the chorus. There's, these like alien kind of sounding people.
I wish I could
wow.
drown out this chorus.
Wow.
And so like coupled together, you hear it all and it sounds a little less like one dude singing it.
I wish I could drown out this chorus. Thought that you are gone is causing harm.
Yeah.
So gorgeous. Oh my gosh.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It was like one of those things when it came time to then send stems to Joey who mixed it. It was like, how do I even like go about this? I think I actually just sent him like one stereo file of like the lead vocal, which is actually like 9 lead vocals, because at that point it's like, I have dialed in like the sound that I want.
Right.
But yeah, it was kind of just like manually creating the chorus effect. If I think about it, and something I kind of noticed about myself, I'm not like super plug-in heavy as far as a producer. Like I remember even like the first Moonchild records, we didn't even know what a compressor was. We were just like making the stuff and like recording it and like just adjusting volumes until we got something we liked. And so I've gotten a little better about actually using the toys that I buy.
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's kind of the sound of that, and it goes into the other tracks too. I'm sure we could even...
Absolutely. So a question about the vocal processing in terms of where you are layering them, like there's dimension to them, but how many are like kind of up front?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Yeah, I typically would have like 3 or 4 vocals kind of where I'm singing close mic, and then I'm like, if I remember correctly, like I would then like kind of create this like a loop or whatever of the verse or chorus or whatever, and I just, with each progressive take, I'd take a step back, kind of like creating like
until
a
you're
natural...
behind the door.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm on the street next to Taco Bell ordering a black bean quesadilla, because sometimes you need a quesadilla to get the right vocal take, But it's in there. You can hear it. If I soloed it, it's I won't show it there because that's
the super secret
sauce.
sauce.
That's hidden behind layers of codes, and yeah, I could never.
Yeah. And then, okay, so you record your vocals literally at different distances from your mic.
Yeah.
And then in terms of panning, do you also kind of like fan them out accordingly? Like how does
100%.
that work? Okay.
Yeah, I'll like, I mean, there's no like precise signs to it, except I'll just...
Vibes.
I'll have a few that are hard panned, and then I'm just like, with each progressive, as we're getting closer, it'll just be, progressively more centered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Drown out this caravan.
So that is today's episode. Thank you, Andris, so much for being here.
Truly my pleasure.
Yeah. And if you want to check out the new record, which I highly, highly suggest, we have the link down below to the Understory. And then you have a live show coming up.
Got a live show April 17th for those in Los Angeles. It'll be at the Latvian Community Center in Frogtown, if you're familiar.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool. And then the arrangement.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm doing something special. I wanted to like figure out how to approach the show because I've actually this will be my first show as a solo artist. And so, yeah, I am going to have my friends Ryan on drums, Joey is going to play keys, Brandon Bay is going to play guitar, and then I'm also going to have a French horn cello octet. And
amazing.
So, yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
I'll be writing some music just for that ensemble too that's not released yet. So
that's so exciting. Yeah. I am personally very excited. I will be there.
I'm so excited too. Yeah, it'll be fun.
So that is April 17th at the Latvian Community Center in Los Angeles.
That's right.
Fantastic. And just one last thing before you go is that it is a tradition with this brand new show. So I guess we're 2 for 2.
Hey, two is a habit,
Yeah, 2 is a habit. That as a token of my gratitude of you being on the show, I would like to present to you my secret sauce, which is the Bad Snacks.
Oh my
hot
Lord.
Sauce.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I hope you enjoy it.
What's your favorite thing to like put it on?
Actually, ramen.
Ramen?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoy that. And
thank you.
Once again, thank you so much for doing this.
Truly my pleasure. Yeah. This is a great first podcast experience.
First and
last.
Only.
Yeah. It stops today.
Time will surely tell.
It's like if you're going for chaos, like you don't need to just stay in like synthland. You can go.
You're full send.
What's this gunshot? Like, I mean, full on. Like, I'm just gonna let that lie.